Good evening. We are here in Lakeland to speak to Roanna Combs about her journey and legacy as a band director. Roanna, why did you decide to be a band director, and what were the circumstances that began your band journey?
Well, I started piano lessons in first grade, and that was my first introduction to music. And I guess I was just blessed to have some really good piano teachers early on that really taught me fundamentally well, I suppose. And I just really enjoyed playing and playing the piano. And as I got close to junior high school, I wanted to be in the band and keep playing music. And I chose the flute to play. And I attended Kathleen Junior High School with Irvin Hom, was my band director. And then when I went to Kathleen High School, I was there with Tom McDonald. So that was my first introduction to music, and I had really great experiences and great teachers early on.
Very good.
So,
Where did you begin your teaching career, and where did you go from there?
well, I began teaching in 1978 at Fort Meade Junior Senior High School, and that's where I met Phil Wharton, and we became a team at that point. And at the time, though, I was a business teacher. I majored in business at FSU. I never have had a regular music degree like everybody else had. So I was a business teacher. I taught typing and accounting my first year. And then I wanted to work with a band because I missed my music. I missed being in the band. I was in the Chiefs when I was at FSU. And I missed the band, I missed the activity and the excitement that goes along with it. So I just, I went down and introduced myself to the band director, and I was asked to do the color guard, and that's how I got started.
So, where did you go when you left Fort Meade, and when did you really make that change of leaving the business classroom and going into being the band director that you are and the choral person that you are now?
Well, I spent 1 year at Fort Meade, and then Phil and I both were hired to come to Lake Gibson High School, so we opened Lake Gibson High School. Tom McDonald, who was my senior high school band director, was the assistant principal at Lake Gibson High School.
Okay.
So he kind of knew that, we were looking to move. Lake Gibson was closer to my home at the time. So he was kind of responsible for both of us coming to Lake Gibson. And when I came to Lake Gibson, I still taught business subjects for the first 4 years. And I still taught color guard, but at that time I started writing drill. Phil had asked me, to be the creative element, to go ahead and write the drill and design. And so I started really getting more into that when we moved to Lake Gibson. So then from there, after the first 4 years, my principal and, of course, Mr. McDonald both came to me and said, Roanna, we would like for you to take over the chorus. And I, thinking, well, that's my first step into music. That's really where my heart was. That's what I did. So I taught chorus for 4 years, but it was so different from being in a structured classroom where I could write lesson plans 6 weeks ahead of time, and my kids came into an office environment that I had created for them, and they just sat down. And then now my kids it just seemed like I didn't have that kind of control that I wanted to have. So after 4 years, I said, well, I think I'll go back to business. But I still kept doing the color guard. But then I started coming down on my planning period because my heart was still torn. I really wanted to be in the music department, but I was having a struggle of fitting in the way I thought I should and needed to. So I started coming down during my planning period and would sit at my desk in the band office, and we would talk and work and do things, and then I just decided this is really where I want to be. So Tom Bishop, who was the music supervisor at the time, he happened to come by one day, and the three of us ended up standing out in front of the music building, and he said to me, Roanna, why don't you just go back and get your music certification and just get on with it? So that was the element right there that told me I needed to go finish the job. I had taken a lot of music courses at FSU, almost a double major, but not quite. So it didn't take me but 2 years to go to Florida Southern and finish my degree, or not my degree, but my certification, in order to be able to be a certified music teacher. And so then I ended up coming back into music, and I never left it.
Wow, that's great. In your career, were there any pivotal moments that brought you to your musical success?
Well, to me, it was the camaraderie and just when I joined FBA and I went to my first FBA meeting, and I sat there in a room with Tom Bishop and, Bill Miller. And then along comes Jack Crew, and David Fultz was there, and Jimmy Parker, and of course Phil Wharton. He was such a great mentor to me. All of these people that I just admired so much, and I thought if I could just fill my little finger with some of the talent that they had, and just the successes that they had, that was just a goal for me. And I just hung on every word they said. I just loved being in a room and listening to them talk. So that was a huge pivotal thing for me every time I was around those guys. To learn from them and to listen to their stories, and the way they taught, and things that would happen to them in the classroom, and how they fixed problems and did things. I really absorbed like a sponge.
We're really lucky in our county, in Polk County, to have that group of people here.
Absolutely.
And we talk about that at our meetings a lot, the mentoring that goes on. But maybe you could share some words with us about the mentoring and the importance of working together with older directors, working with young directors, and how that can help those careers.
Well, that's one thing that, I think as a young director, to be able to, and I think that's one of the beauties of this legacy project, if there's just one thing that a young teacher can get from somebody and all of the film that's going to be made, if they can get one, then I think that this project it's incredibly important for that. Because to be able to sit and to share experiences and just rehearsal techniques, and it's just invaluable. I just don't know how else to say it.
And it seems like it's just a part of what we do.
Absolutely.
Over here, and it's such an amazing thing, and you're a huge part of that. And all of those legends that you're talking about are. It's so important.
I remember when Rodney Dorsey was here at George Jenkins High School, and every concert festival, if I was sitting in the back listening, I would get up and move down behind the table where I could watch him from the front. And just to watch him conduct, and the way he communicated on the podium to his kids, it was just, that was a huge impact on me, was to watch Rodney. And then to listen to Phil rehearse. I would sit during my planning period before I was actually in the classroom with him and listen to him rehearse. And just me sitting there, I would be doing other work, but my ear was what was going on in that band room.
Sure.
And just to listen to how he would fix things and do things with those kids, it was just remarkable. So.
Great. Is there one thing about your personal character that you would say enabled you to achieve your high level of musical excellence?
Well, I think that I've always been the kind of person that anything I went after or tried to do, I always gave it my all, gave it my best effort. And I knew that if I was going to be a teacher that stood in front of a classroom of young people, that I had to be somebody that had to be that kind of example for those children to follow. Somebody that was had high expectations of myself, high goals. If I had to be that example for them, and an example that I wanted them to become so that no matter what they chose to do in life, I wanted them to go out and be successful because of things that we would do under my control in my classroom. So I always tried to structure what we did, I mean, set parameters, set goals, and every year we would change and make things, try to make it new and more exciting,
Mm-hmm.
and just, so that it wasn't the same old every year. I mean, the same type of procedure, but we would change things up. And I just wanted the kids to learn dependability and teamwork and responsibility. And if they said they were going to do something, they followed through. They knew what the word commitment meant,
Mm-hmm.
because that's just something that you don't get a lot anymore in this world,
Right.
it seems like. But, I just wanted them to have the kinds of qualities. So I tried to emulate that as much as I could to all of my kids.
Well, I think they know. You can go into classrooms, and when that teacher's not 100% invested, the kids don't do it either.
Right.
And
No, I agree.
And knowing you guys and how committed you are with you were with your program, the kids knew that.
Right.
And that's the thing. If you show your dedication, they show that dedication.
Right.
They give it back.
Right.
When they see that you care about it so much. That's certainly something that when I visited you guys, that was always there.
I think the classroom structure and keeping it fun but yet structured gave them the security to come in and learn the way they needed to,
Mm-hmm.
and it made them want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
It made them want to improve on a daily basis. So,
Right. What concepts did you have to instill in your students in order for them to achieve high quality music?
I just think just setting the high expectations for the kids, letting them know it's okay to make mistakes. But that's how
Mhm.
you learn sometimes. I mean, you have to fall down, but you've got to get up,
Sure.
and you've got to keep going. I think trying to teach them, how when you do get those tough moments, that it's about breaking it down sometimes and just trying to look at it from different angles. Just trying to give them those life skills that, that they can apply towards any profession. I told them, sometimes I would say to them, it doesn't matter if you're going to be the CEO of a company someday,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're going to pump gas, whether you're going to, work, it doesn't matter what type of job. You're going to have good people skills.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to be dependable and reliable and just those kinds of things. So that's a lot of what I know both Phil and I tried to instill in our kids. But we also wanted them to leave with that gift of music that they could use, and to understand how important this gift was, because it's something that they would enjoy the rest of their life and could use the rest of their life.
And I know with your guys' program that student leadership was a really big part of what you guys did. What it always seemed like it was a really tight group of kids, and that was really strong. What did you do to instill that leadership into those students?
Well, I think first of all, Phil and I worked hard to set the example for them. And then second of all is that we set them up for success. As much as we could, we set them up for success. We gave them the rules. We gave them the parameters. We tried, I know we offered, we brought in several occasions Tim Lotzenheiser to come in and do special, we would bring people in to rehearse our group so that they could learn from other people as well. But just things like that we did, that we really tried to set them up for success. And, when they would stumble and fall, then you would talk to them and try to explain, people skills and how to fix things. And I know they would often come to you for advice, when they would have those little conflicts or things that would go on. So I think as much as we could, we did. We supported them 100%, and we just tried to set them up for success because of the things that we put in place for them to follow.
Sure.
So,
You've hit on it a little bit already, but what did you do in order to keep your edge, to keep the passion flowing, if you would?
well, I mentioned the camaraderie things, just, being present when these other directors would be together. I mean, just listening. I know a lot of times I wouldn't even talk. I would just sit. I just love to be a sponge sometimes, just to sit and listen. Um, I know that becoming an FBA adjudicator really was a huge step for me because I didn't come from the rigors of a music education background. So for me to go out and work with other students in other settings, sometimes I was so excited to come back to my own program, to apply some of the things that I was self discovering,
Mm-hmm.
through really trying to reach out and help other students or other programs and whatnot. And I would discover things about myself that I could apply with my own kids, and I would get ideas while I was out trying to help others. So becoming an FBA adjudicator was huge.
Um, in reference to the music and the performing, what was really special about it to you on the podium? I know you've been over to my band room, and I know, I mean, to me, the lyrical, music was something
Mm-hmm.
that was really that you connected to. You've done my pre-MPAs before, and
Mm-hmm.
you've talked about that. But on the podium, is there something special there that you really enjoyed, particular to music, or was there a thing there that you felt like was your strength?
I always, I love doing the festive overtures and, the some of the old Warhorse pieces like that. I mean, I really like that, but I later found out that I was able to connect more with the students where the music had more of a humanistic
Mm-hmm.
type message to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and once those kids understood what the story was behind the music and what we were trying to recreate through the music, I used a lot of descriptions, and I guess, and again, because I don't have that rigor of the classroom training for music education, I was having to create my own communication skills. And I know a lot of times when I judge, I use some different type things, but I'm trying to say the same thing.
Sure.
And sometimes I think the kids get it and they remember it,
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
because it hooks them.
Mm-hmm.
And I know one piece that we worked on, an American Elegy. I
Beautiful.
mean, yeah, I mean, it's probably one of my favorite all time pieces, but I mean, my kids used to reduce me to tears on the podium
Mm-hmm.
because they got it. They got the message and they knew they had it because you could see it in their faces when they played.
And you helped me with that. Last year we were working on Elsa's procession,
Right.
and you showed me,
Mm-hmm.
Princess Diana walking up,
Right.
to get married, and how you were able to describe to the kids
Yeah.
what was going through her head, that's amazing to me how you're able to make those connections.
Well, you
And
can
get the
give
kids
them
to
the
feel it.
visual, something tangible like that,
Sure.
and the kids they loved it. They just ate it up.
They did, and it changed.
Yes.
I mean, it changed right there in the band room. I've
Right.
seen you do it.
Right.
It's amazing.
So.
Um, now that you're retired, are you active now, or are there things that you're doing to stay involved in music? Anything like that?
Well, I'm in my second year of retirement,
Mm-hmm.
and this year, the first year, I kind of laid low, but this year, I have been out helping some directors prepare their students for the recent Solo and Ensemble Festival. I'm doing a couple of pre-festival. I miss the band room. I miss making music with kids.
Sure.
And but I've enjoyed being out in the band rooms this year, doing more.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I have a couple pre-festivals to do, and I'm still judging FBA solo and ensembles
Mm-hmm.
and concert festivals and marching festivals. I enjoy all of it, and I also am playing in the Bartow Adult Community Band. So I'm getting the other side of it too, and actually now I'm in the percussion section, and
Oh.
I'm not playing my flute. So
Okay.
I'm now appreciating the things that I didn't appreciate so much from the
Sure.
podium. I'm getting the other side of what goes on in the percussion section. So it's been a lot of fun.
Great.
So.
Do you have a one short story that you would that would demonstrate your satisfaction in choosing the life as a band director? Is there something that was pivotal there for you?
No, I don't think I have one story. I have just a lot of moments
Mm-hmm.
that things that have happened to me in my career that kind of told me that I'd made the right decision to do what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I had that personal struggle of believing in myself in the beginning that I could really do this
Mm-hmm.
and be beneficial to the students that I was working with, um, I just have a lot of special moments that will always stick with me.
Sure. Sure.
So I don't think that there's one story that sticks out any more than the others do.
Mm-hmm.
But I just have a lot of, I've been blessed to work with a person that was just the best mentor I could have ever hoped to work with. And he had a lot of patience with me, and he just supported me and gave me the confidence to keep doing what I wanted to do. And then, I just, like I said, I had a lot of fellow band directors that I just admired so much
Mm-hmm.
that just made an impact on me. And they all had their own little special way of doing that
Sure.
by the things they said or things they did, And then, of course, your kids, how can you not give them credit,
Right.
for the great things that you remember about your career, your kids and your band parents,
Sure.
a lot of the parents and stuff. So,
Well, lastly, is there any advice you could leave with us, or maybe an upcoming director in reference to this career and how to become better at it?
the best advice I think that I could say is that you've got to get out and you've got to listen to others, whether it be just sit down and have a conversation with them,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be get in their band room and watch them conduct, watch or listen to them rehearse. Just get out and be amongst the greatness that's going on around you.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much to learn from the present, and there's a lot to learn from the past.
Sure.
And I think that anybody that doesn't take advantage of that is just really going to shortchange what they can really become
Mm-hmm.
and what they can later share.
Sure.
So that's the biggest piece of advice I think I can offer.
Great.
So
Well, Roanna, thank you for doing this for us. You're certainly a legacy in our area and in our state, and we appreciate your service and what you do for our bands and the impacts that you've made on your students. So thank you very much.
thank you, John.